So, what's everybody's favorite type of cookie? My favorite cookie is white chocolate macadamia.
I like oatmeal raisin cookies.
I'm more of a snickerdoodle kind of girl.
Red velvet chocolate chip.
M&M cookies.
Well, I like internet cookies.
No.
What?
So, can you find these internet cookies in Insomnia?
No.
Yeah, are they cookies that you just order online?
Well, you can't order them online, but you can find them on Insomnia's website. What they really are just these small little files that are stored in your computer from all these websites, and they hold little bits of data on who you are, so they can present things such as personalized ads or images pertaining to your likes.
But the thing is that cookies can be hacked, and when they are hacked, the hacker is able to get into your web history and see your likes, your dislikes, basically just find out a ton of information about you.
And the problem with that is, as Mari had mentioned in class the other day, is the more people can find out about you, the more they can spoof you. We found out that international students are more prone to these hacks and these spoofing incidents because when they find throughout cookies that they are international, in fact, and studying the United States, they use threats like they will be deported or they will lose their degree and things like that that are very, very alarming to these students.
Yeah, and a big problem with this is a lot of these cybercrimes go unreported, especially in the case of international students where they just don't know any better. But even for domestic people, a lot of people just don't know where to report them or anything like that. They don't know what to do when they do get hacked. And even when they do report them, a lot of times they go unresolved because they lack severity, they're just a waste of time, and really there's a low chance of catching the people responsible. And other reasons are that people sometimes blame themselves. They're like, oh, well, maybe if I wouldn't have gone to that sketchy website, then I wouldn't have got this. And some of them were even unaware that it occurred. And especially if they went to the wrong sketchy website, they'd be certainly very embarrassed to tell some people where they got this cookie from.
Cookies.
So recently I read an online article from The Telegraph which discussed Sophie Curtis's experience how hackers took over her computer. So Sophie has been aware of the cybersecurity threats that are ongoing in our world today. So because of this, she wanted to contact an ethical hacker whose name was John Leo, who worked for cybersecurity firm TrustWave. So an ethical hacker's job is to do fake hacking tests to companies and see where they are vulnerable. So Sophie contacted John and asked him to hack her, but she will not know when she was going to be hacked, and it could occur any month from now or literally in a year. She didn't really know. So John and his team began searching the internet for any piece of information they could find about her. So, for example, they got in touch with every social media account she owned, every email she owned, and through that, they were able to contact her work email through her Twitter, and they were able to discover what kind of mobile device she used through pictures on social media. Also, they actually found a family tree website where they found a lot of personal information and were able to track her family lineage. She accepted a friend request on LinkedIn eventually, and they were able to fingerprint her computer, which means they found out which computer operating system was running, which browser she was using, and which security software might be running. They were able to completely get into her computer and even were able to take screenshots of her Gmail page and were able to take pictures of her on her webcam, which is actually really creepy to know that this girl was just sitting in her room, minding her own business, and these guys got into her computer and were able to take pictures of her in her own private space. So they stopped at this point because they were ethical hackers, but to know that people can go this far into your computer system is quite scary.
Reporting cybercrime is really important because, like we saw in Katherine's story, if we don't stop these people now, then they'll just continue to go and go and go and find out more information about us without us even knowing.
Now, as important as it is to report these hackers, what exactly is a concrete way you would recommend going about reporting them?
Well, it really matters exactly what type of crime it was. So if it's computer intrusion, you would go maybe to the FBI local office. Versus if it was password trafficking, you would go to the U.S. Secret Service. So a lot of these different government organizations all take care of different types of cybercrime.
So let's talk about some basics of cybersecurity. One of the most basic internet security tools is called a firewall. So a good example of the way to think about this is going to check your college mail. You go down wherever it is and you see all these rows of mailboxes addressed to all your different residence halls. Now imagine that the mail switching room is your computer, and each individual mailbox is called a port. So when a company, let's say your Gmail account, wants to send you an email, it has to go through a specific mailbox number or port number. A firewall works by regulating these different ports. So if a message, or a letter in this case, is invalidly addressed or seems malicious, it'll block it from coming through your mailbox, less entering your computer. So by having a firewall that is specifically tuned to blocking out only bad things or only letting in good things, you protect your computer from unwanted attacks, information breaches, and whatnot. People who have a wide open firewall, they run into issues because anybody can get through. Anybody can send through information, and the worst part is any information coming from your computer can get out. So it's not only a matter of keeping information from getting into your computer, but it's also a matter of keeping information from getting out of your computer.
So speaking of keeping things from getting out of your computer, there's your antivirus software works in a couple different ways. So it detects threats through three different methods. The first one is called signature-based detection, where it's kind of like, it's pretty much your traditional type of antivirus detection system. That's what they originally started off as, where your antivirus firm, be it Norton or AVG or whatever, basically scan the entire internet and they find viruses that way, and they put it into a cache, which is then listed, and then they send that list out to everyone who has their software. And then when you're downloading something, that antivirus software will keep an eye on what you're doing, and if it notices any of those files, it'll warn you and protect your computer. The heuristics is the second kind, which is kind of like how we know what a cold virus looks like, even though it keeps mutating, because all viruses in like a single family might be related. For example, Trojan horse is always a Trojan horse, no matter how well you disguise it. So it basically looks for the characteristics of let's say for this example, a Trojan horse. And the third kind is called real-time protection, which basically monitors the status of your computer and notices if anything suspicious is happening. So let's say if you have a laptop and your lid is closed, you're not doing anything with it, so your trackpad isn't having any input, but at the same time you're browsing the internet, looking through your bank information, those kinds of things.
Looking at cat pictures.
Looking at cat pictures, very, very important. So I don't know why as a hacker would want you to do that, but whatever. Hackers are weird. But your computer will then say, hey, I'm not being used. Why is the guy who uses my computer, the girl who uses my computer, doing this kind of stuff? And your antivirus is going to go, because he's not, and they're going to shut it down.
So what are the name brands of these various protections that you can buy? I know when I was at Best Buy buying my new computer, they tried to get me to buy a $65 price one. Kaspersky, is that a good one?
Well, you see, very often price is irrelevant of how good an antivirus is, although I wouldn't really trust a free one because 99% of the time you're going to catch a virus downloading it. I have in front of me a list of the top 5 antiviruses by topbusinesscompared.com, and that $65 one from Kaspersky is only number 5, and it is, like you said, $65. Number 1 is actually only $20. It gets a 9.8 out of 10 and has full marks for security and features. And number 2 is ScanGuard Security Suite. Number 3 is Norton, and number 4 is PC Protect. And one of the most interesting things about this list is the most expensive ones are the bottom 3, and the top 2 only cost $20. So you really don't need to break the bank in order to get half decent protection and even really good protection for your computer.
Hey Evan, but I'm a really safe internet browser. I don't go on any sketchy websites. I keep track of what I'm doing, my internet history. So do I really need internet security? Do I really need antivirus to keep myself protected?
Okay, yeah, sure, Joe. I'll believe you're a safe browser anytime you want me to. But I can recommend that you definitely do invest in some form of antivirus, because even safe websites have ways to get you infected. Like, you could either click on a faulty download link while you're browsing something that you're pretty sure is safe that someone has placed there. You could be on Facebook, like we mentioned in was that our first or second podcast? First podcast. Phishing schemes, they could get your password and get into your computer like that. There's really no super safe websites. There are only more likely to be safe websites.
Yeah, actually, I'm definitely not a safe internet user.
Big surprise there.
Wow. Thanks. Anyways,
Mr.
Tons of porn.
No girlfriend.
You can't say that in the podcast. Anyways, quiet. So, anyways, I actually just think, Joe, are you okay? Okay, good. So I actually just stick with Windows Defender because it's pretty damn decent. It's 100% free, comes with Windows, and they're a pretty large company who actually purport to use it themselves. So I figure if Windows uses their own software for their own employees, I figure it's just good enough for me.
Well, now that we've killed all of our headphone listeners with that laugh track, why don't we start a little around the world and see what have we learned from today's podcast? Joe?
So I learned that internet security is a really important feature of these modern days computers that we buy, and that you can't go unprotected on the web. You need to have some sort of firewall or antivirus system in place, even if you are the safest internet browser out there.
Absolutely nobody's ever safe when it comes to the internet. And with that being said, it's important that we raise awareness about this problem in our everyday lives, and we get people out there reporting when they're hacked, because as we all know, people get hacked on the reg.
Yeah, actually, basically, two things. One, I have horrible, horrible friends. I hate all of you. Especially you. But, oh, by the way, you people can't see, but I was pointing at Joe Calabeo. Hint, hint. Also, as well, basically, how to report when my computer's been hacked, which is a very important thing.
I learned that not all cookies are edible and sweet, and that if the hacker is able to get into your computer through your cookies, then they'll be able to find out a lot more about your personal life.
I learned what an ethical hacker is, and now I know if I were in Sophia's position that I can't accept LinkedIn requests from random strangers, and I need to secure my social networks more privately.